The first Nitro.
Or the second one.
The first head-to-head Nitro is what I meant.
I see.
Who won?
I have no idea.
Nitro.
Oh, there you go.
2.5 to 2.2. This is history, Vinny. The Monday Night War started with a win by WCW.
All right, Brian. In the Lost show, I mentioned that there was a man on Ring of Honor who did not have the best match on the show, but he had my favorite match on the show.
The Moose.
Moose, everyone, was the best part of Ring of Honor. So I turn this Nitro, and what do I see? A whole company full of mooses. This is awesome. First of all, for the second week in a row, they had helicopter skyline shots to show the outside of a building with a roof.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Bischoff said Hulk Hogan would be defending his title tonight in the match of the century.
That's what he said. Which, by the way, just so I don't forget, when the match was over, and we'll talk about the match, Hulk Hogan called it one of the great matches of his career.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they announced that Vader was, as they put it, AWOL. So he had not filed the proper documents, and so he was out of the pay-per-view on Sunday.
The match of his life were his exact words.
Hogan said that.
The match of his life with Lex Luger.
Yeah.
Do you know where Vader was?
Didn't he leave to go to WWF?
Well, he hadn't left yet, but he had just had the locker room brawl with Paul Orndorff.
Oh.
And he was suspended.
I see.
So he did eventually go back to WWF. And so essentially they did a trade where WCW got Luger and WWF got Vader. So WWF got the better end of that bargain.
Mm-hmm. So Hogan's team is now a man down for the War Games match on Sunday.
You know what's funny about Paul Orndorff is...
his mustache?
That's true.
I don't know why, but I started the newsletter in June of 1995. And so I watched every single solitary episode of Raw and Nitro. From that period until it died, I watched every show. And it was a videotape era, so I probably watched a lot of those shows several times. I have no idea what it is, but I have no memory of ever watching Paul Orndorff in WCW. I don't know why. I remember all of this stuff like it happened yesterday, and they bring Paul Orndorff on the screen, and I'm like, Paul Orndorff is wrestling on Nitro next week? What?
He did not do a lot on Nitro. In fact, I think, is right about the time when Nitro started was when his run there wound down.
Yes.
He did a ton of stuff on Saturday night.
Well, that might have been the problem.
Specifically, the tag team with Paul Roma of Pretty Wonderful.
Pretty Wonderful, that's right.
It's a great team.
That's right.
The opener was Alex Wright versus, in his WCW debut, Sabu.
Yes.
Or at least his Nitro debut.
His 2-month run before he ran back to ECW.
Well, yeah, he had a lot of short stays in a lot of places. So, in a wrestling landscape where the Monday night scene had been featuring like hog farmers and garbage men, I guess this is before Savio Vega's time, but with a bunch of crap on Raw, for the most part, out comes this lunatic. That is the only word you can use. And he's throwing himself into, over, through, and off of everything available.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing springboards. He's doing flip dives, jumping off chairs, crashing into guardrails. Alex Wright, by the way, held his own.
I guess.
He had a big missile dropkick. He had a big running plancha. There was a point, actually, where he had a superplex, and then the match just stopped. Mm-hmm. Like he went to pick Sabu up, and neither of them knew what to do or something. I don't know. And the finish was... disaster's probably too strong a word, but Sabu hit a victory roll off the top rope. And he's got him for the pin, and Nick Patrick drops to count.
My favorite referee.
He counts 1, and he counts 2, and then Sabu looks at him, and Nick goes to count 3, and then Wright kicks out, and then the match just stopped.
Oh, God.
That was not very good.
He's a Steve Mazzagatti of WCW referees, fucking up every week.
That shouldn't have been as funny as it was, but it was.
It's a fact.
So then Sabu set up a table on the floor, and he sat right up on the table. Not laid him out, sat him up.
Well, I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. Like, he kind of laid him down, but then Wright just kind of sat up and was leaning against the table.
Yeah.
And then Sabu goes in and he starts going up to the top rope, and I'm like, you might want to lay on that table there, Wright. And he didn't. And so Sabu did this wild leap, overshot him, smashed his own ass through the table, and they both went down.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Heenan starts howling about something else unrelated to professional wrestling. Holy fuck these announcers. I'll get to them in a second. But Sabu just like, this is his debut. And he comes in all taped up and selling his hip.
Yes.
He then proceeds to kill himself.
Yes.
He was going to do a running dive off a chair and miss a body block into the guardrail, but he misjudged his jump, and he never even hit the guardrail. He just splatted on the cement.
I was going to bring that up.
Oh,
You ever seen the old Roadrunner and Coyote?
that's exactly what this was.
And Coyote every so often would be running after Roadrunner, but Roadrunner would stop and Coyote would run off of the cliff.
Yes.
And he would sit there for just a second, look at the camera, break down that fourth wall, and then 1001, 1002, and then he would fall.
Yes, I do.
This was Sabu.
I was
in
waiting
the
for when
midair.
Sabu landed, like the boulder would fall on him.
Right.
Oh, this is the giant poof of dust?
Yes. This match was incredibly sloppy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it was like at the time, but looking back on it, it was like, wow, this was just like a mess. What a mess.
But it was a fun mess.
I guess.
I enjoyed this
I did too.
immensely.
It's probably really cool if you'd never seen Sabu.
I would not need to see this every week.
No.
I thought it was cool because I had seen Sabu.
You know the most amazing thing watching it is Sabu is still around today.
Yeah.
He's got less hair, but yeah.
From watching this match, you would expect that he wouldn't have made it through the 90s.
You'd expect his arms and legs to all fall off.
Yeah.
Right.
He'd be like, in a iron lung by now.
Driving his chair with a straw.
Yes. 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 Gene Okerlund was in the ring calling out Ric Flair for a promo. Flair was talking about how he had partied all night long in Miami, but his best friend had not been there. Arn Anderson had been in the hotel on the phone with his wife and son.
What a
What a
pusher.
jerk.
I love that this is the feud. Arn grew up, and so now Rick hates him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So he's ranting and raving and being Ric Flair, and Lex Luger walks out. Flair was very excited to see him. Mm-hmm. Put him over like $1 million. Kept calling him package. And then Luger says, Flair, you're too much.
Yeah.
And he left. And then it ended.
Why did Luger come out?
What in the hell was this?
I think the idea was Luger debuted in WCW, and you didn't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy.
I see.
And so they were putting him here with Flair to make you think that maybe he was going to be a heel. But really, it was just a completely pointless segment. But the thing was, Flair is so entertaining that it made this segment great.
I loved how Flair was like pawing at Luger.
I know.
Just
Basically,
As he called
Yeah.
him package.
yeah, running his hands down his chest. And
Look at you, package. 6'5", 275. Package.
Lex is trying so hard not to laugh.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it's just me, but Flair's hair in the 90s, I still can't get over it.
Flair's hair. Jesus Christ. They should have shot a Pillman who's going to be wrestling
Yeah,
next week.
I think this was when they still wanted him to, or shortly after they wanted him to do the Gladiator thing.
No, yeah. No, I think Gladiator was a lot earlier. Spartacus.
Yeah.
It was much earlier. It
thought
was
he cut-
years earlier.
Okay, so he cut his hair for that. I guess he just kept the haircut for
I
a while.
see. Okay.
Yeah. VK Wall Street versus Sting.
Bray Wyatt Sr.
Yeah. Versus Sting.
A man called Sting.
A man called Sting who does this and also does that.
I don't know what he did in this match.
Bischoff let everyone know that Raw was taped and that Shawn Michaels knocked out the big guy with a super kick. His exact words. Then he proceeded to bury Shawn's super kick. You know, I realize you wanted to make your program look cool and the other program look bad, but first of all, of all the guys to attack for having bad-looking kicks on Monday Night Raw, Shawn Michaels is not the guy I would target.
Well, if I recall
okay,
correctly, they were terrible kicks in that match with Sid, but he was also wrestling Sid.
No, that too.
Because remember, Sid had to bend forward so he could super kick him in the head?
Actually,
Yes.
I don't remember that at all, actually.
I don't remember this.
But more to the point, and maybe it probably wouldn't matter, but at some point, maybe you would want to sign Shawn Michaels. Maybe you shouldn't bury him before that.
He did say it wouldn't have got him a green belt at the local YMCA.
Yes.
Wow. Fighting words, those.
Eric takes karate very seriously.
He takes his karate as very, very seriously.
So Mongo added that all his ex-football playing buddies no longer watch football on Monday nights. They watched wrestling.
Bull.
Actually, the more I think about it, the more it's possible. That's possible.
You know what's funny about... remember when Bischoff lost his mind and he challenged Vince to a fight? Mm-hmm. And everybody was talking about who would win? Even though Bischoff was like a karate guy, he'd at least had some combat experience.
Yes.
Vince McMahon had none at all.
No. He was...
What was Vince McMahon going to do in this fight? I know Vince thought he was like a tough guy and he like challenged him to a parking lot brawl or something like that. But I've seen Vince wrestle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Vince is athletically lacking in a lot of ways.
True.
What in the hell
of them.
was he going to do to Eric Bischoff?
Intimidate him with his mass.
Eric would have just kicked his quads until they tore. Why am I analyzing a fake... why am I analyzing I don't know.
It's a great question.
But I just was thinking about that.
So by and large, I really like this match. They worked really hard. They did very basic stuff.
So this was like Buddy versus Bryan. High cross finish.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Nothing. It was so old school.
The one part of that is there was a point where I don't even ever seen Major League, Brian. Craig, have you seen Major League?
Of course.
There's the great scene where the guy's trying to steal a base and he just starts to slide and it comes up way short.
Yes.
Which actually, I think it actually happened in a real game not that long ago. Sting basically did the same thing here where he tried to slingshot shoulder block and just came up way, way, way short.
Yes.
So I laughed at that. Otherwise, very fun match. Very basic, very old school. And Sting hit the Stinger Splash and then the top rope body press. And yes, no Scorpion. He just pinned him.
Yep.
It was a very average match in 1995 that would be the best match often on SmackDown these days.
And then Mongo summed up the whole match when he said, and I quote, "Ring my bell."
This Mongo.
Not a fan of Mongo.
Not a bit.
Dude, in hindsight now, as much as we have made fun of Michael Cole and
Yeah.
Todd
Go, Brian.
Harris, is that his name?
Keep going.
What the hell's that guy's name on SmackDown?
Phillips.
Todd Phillips. Who's Todd Harris?
I don't know.
Hopefully not a porn star. Todd Phillips. As much as we make fun of these numbskulls, there has never been an announcer as bad as Steve Mongo McMichael. I'm talking anywhere.
Yeah.
In any company ever.
Yeah.
He is the dirt worst. He's so bad at his job, he didn't know anybody.
No.
The Dungeon of Doom ran in the main event, and he had no idea who any of them were, including Kevin Sullivan, the guy who runs the fucking organization. It would have taken 5 minutes to write some notes down based on the lineup for this show. Everything he said was stupid. Nothing he said was funny.
Yeah.
He was the worst announcer I've ever seen.
Wow.
Who is even close, Vinny?
He's not good.
Who is even close?
He's not good at all. David Crockett was pretty awful.
Nothing
No.
like this. Mike Adamle?
See, at least Mongo had enthusiasm.
Well,
He was loudly proclaiming
that's
stuff
funny coming from Vinny.
about guys he didn't know. I suck. What do you want me to do?
Vinny, you are so much better than Mongo McMichael. If that makes you feel any better.
If you say so.
Not only that, this motherfucker is spending half the time challenging the other wrestlers to a
Yeah.
fight.
Well, that too. Yeah,
He's threatening to beat up the wrestlers.
Yeah, that's not
in
good.
between when Scott Norton comes out talking about how Scott Norton benches 500 pounds, and he goes, there's nobody in the NFL that can bench 500 pounds. Now, I don't know jack shit about football, but that's bullshit.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, I could bench 500, but I'm not in the NFL right now.
By the way, all while
Horrible.
holding a chihuahua and a sombrero.
In a sombrero.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Todd Harris has done play-by-play for UFC on Versus.
No, that's who it is. Okay, I got it. No one in UFC is worse than Mongo. Why was he called Mongo?
There's a nickname from football.
Short for what?
It wasn't short for. It was just I don't know where he got it. You know what? Wasn't Mongo Alex Karras' character in Blazing Saddles?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I got it.
Okay.
I was actually thinking of
The only
being
word,
the Merciless from Planet Mongo, I think.
the only word in the English language that I can think of that starts with Mongo is
Mongrel.
Mongoloid.
Okay, that too.
Or maybe Mongolian, which he was not.
Did he ever punch a horse?
Fuck, he may have. I don't know. Go on, Vinny.
Okay, yes, Mongo was the planet where Ming the Merciless was from. I've confirmed that.
Who?
The bad guy in Flash Gordon.
Oh, Ming
Ming the Merciless.
the Merciless.
Not to be confused with the monster Ming.
Flash.
So,
I think I got a new gimmick for Vinny.
oh no.
Ming the Merciful.
I've never, actually that's not bad.
Every time you're getting heat on somebody, you feel bad for them, and then they beat you.
They roll me up.
You're too merciful. You wear a superhero costume, Flash Gordon theme.
Well, that right there has me sold.
This is the best idea I've ever had, and I've had a lot of them.
Brian is right now writing it down.
No, I'm finding the Flash Gordon theme. Imagine Vinny V coming out to this theme.
In Flash Gordon's costume.
It builds. Now he hits the ring.
Savior of the universe.
All right, I gotta come back now.
Ming the Merciful. I'm going to keep this playing during the next song, or the next match. Go ahead, Vinny.
I will never forget when Shaquille O'Neal was a rookie basketball player. He had a big game against somebody, and they're interviewing him afterwards, and he is speaking in 100% generic jock speak. He says, I give all the credit to my coaches and teammates. They worked hard to put me in a good position to make some plays, and we got the win. That's most important. He stops, and he looks off in the distance, and he says, Shaq! Oh! Savior of the universe. Shaq was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. They plugged the Saturday night show with the following lineup. The debut of Disco Inferno.
Wow.
Renegade versus Max Muscle.
And that sounds like the worst match of all time, actually.
And Big Bubba versus Dave Sullivan.
Wow.
They plugged this lineup, and I thought, holy crap, no wonder they died.
That's a bad lineup right there.
That is awful. Scott Norton versus Randy Savage.
This was something else.
This was awesome.
This is great. I didn't see a lot of Scott Norton. I actually remember him more in the AWA than the NWA. And then, of course, he spent most of his career in Japan. But my memories of him were, of course, a very, 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 very large man. But my memories were that he was not very mobile.
Scott Flash Norton.
He wasn't that fast
Oh,
forward.
my God. You're right.
How did we all miss that?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So Scott was bumping his ass off in this match. He's getting way
man.
over for a hip toss. Get his feet high up in the air. He's falling all over the place.
So this is what it reminded of when I thought of this match, actually.
Yes.
He beat the shit out of Randy Savage.
He did. At one point, Bobby Heenan suggested Savage might have a broken spleen.
Is that the proper medical term?
I don't think so.
I broke my spleen.
I don't believe that's what they teach in med school. But so seeing a lot of wrestling these days, a lot of indie wrestling, and talking about how guys don't sell very often or don't sell very well. Randy Savage, everyone, when the announcers were talking about how he might have broken his back, he was laying on the mat like a man with a broken back.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was in great agony and in distress and needed help. Finally started making a comeback. And then they did the best horrible finish ever.
This was incredible.
I have never seen a shitty finish this great. So, Kamala and Shark run down.
Or, as Eric Bischoff called him, Avalanche.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's approximately somewhere between 800 to 1,000 pounds of human being. And Norton, of course, is also a monster. So they enter the ring together. Savage manages somehow to throw Norton into Shark, who then bounces into Kamala. And I swear to God, as this happened, I actually heard bowling pins falling down in my head. All the fat guys fall down. And I don't know how this happened still, but somehow Shark was A, knocked unconscious, and B, fell across Scott Norton's legs.
Yes.
So Norton is now pinned by the great fish. Shark is over his legs. And Norton, for all the might of his 500-pound bench press, he can't move this big fat guy.
No, he's trapped.
He's trapped. And the referee don't care.
No.
It's not my problem, he says.
What's he going to do? Call the Coast Guard?
Call Quint.
Greenpeace.
Put another barrel in him. So, Savage just goes up top, hits the top rope elbow, pins Scott Norton, whose legs are still under the Shark, and Randy Savage wins.
Yeah.
Oh, how I laughed.
Norton couldn't kick out because the Shark was on his legs.
Yes. I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed, and I laughed.
I laughed that Norton got his shoulder up anyway.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
You got to save face.
Oh, God. I was just...
Got to protect himself for Japan, you know. So, all the rest of the Dungeon of Doom came out, and Savage ran to the back, and Norton, needless to say, was not happy about this, and he got in a shoving match with Shark, but Kevin Sullivan led his men away. Pro wrestling used to be so much fun.
I liked when the match was over. Bischoff is recapping what went down, and he goes, Scott Norton came here to make a name for himself, and he choked.
Yes.
Thanks to the Dungeon of Doom.
Yes, he said this.
And I was like, he choked thanks to the Dungeon of Doom? First off, he didn't choke. A fucking fish fell on his legs, and he was trapped. How's this choke? He beat the shit out of Randy Savage before 500 pounds of blubber held him down. Very disrespectful of Eric Bischoff. No wonder Norton was upset.
Yeah.
Couple of things. Norton's chest was as wide as his shoulders were.
He's a very thick man.
Oh my gosh, he's a huge man.
Yeah.
And then Savage came out in a neon lime green outfit, accessorized with a red hat.
Yeah. Who are you to judge Randy Savage's
Yeah,
actions?
I'm
Jesus,
sorry.
come on now. I've seen Craig Corrosion.
That's true. But yeah, I love this match. Scott Norton.
It was very funny.
Man, he was on your show one time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was.
I
Great.
need to get him back on the show
Absolutely.
someday. Ask him about this match. The Shark.
Main event was Lex Luger versus Hulk Hogan.
Battle of the Century.
It was tremendous.
You know what? I remember this because I remembered this match specifically because I emailed or texted you. Probably email at the time.
I don't think there was texting in
I
1995.
don't think
Right.
maybe you paged me.
That's very possible.
Signal fire.
But I texted you.
Maybe you left a message on
emailed.
the YWF hotline.
That's very
There you
possible.
go. There you
That's actually more likely.
And I said, "You're not going to," because we were able to watch Nitro and then Raw came on
Yes.
because we live on
I don't
the
know
West
why.
Coast. Because we would get the East Coast feed of Nitro, and
I
then
don't think I got that.
okay, well I
But
did,
anyway, go on.
and I made communication with you somehow and said Hulk Hogan put on a clinic in this match.
Yeah.
And he really did, per Hulk Hogan standards.
It was a clinic of how to get the most out of nothing.
Yeah. That's a clinic.
He was chain wrestling.
Well,
he did
a
one
takedown.
One takedown, and then he got the guy.
He did do a half Nelson with a wrist lock,
Yeah.
which I don't think I've seen before or since, and then he just let it go.
Well, what's Luger going to do?
Well, that's a good point.
That's
no
solid,
reversals.
solid point.
I'll give you that. Yeah. Go ahead, Vinny. I'm
So,
sorry.
Dave gave this match 1 star at the time.
oh, come on now.
I thought it was a little bit better than that, but
No, this match was clearly better than average.
I think he was upset about it because they built it up as a match of the century, and then they got like 6 minutes.
That's possible. That's possible. It was very basic. Luger did some offense, ended with a suplex. Hulk no-sold it, popped up. Place popped huge. Luger was baffled. Wrestled again. Then Hulk hit a suplex and Luger no-sold it. They were equals. Mighty men.
It's an amazing review, Vinny. I had not thought of this before.
Yes, there's grand storytelling here. They were titans having a war. Luger got him up with a torture rack. The ref goes to drop the arm 3 times, which is kind of funny by itself. And he drops the arm once, and he drops the arm twice, and then Luger was confused, and he let the hold go. Thought he'd won the world title.
What a fucking rookie mistake that was.
It was.
Jesus.
There was a point here also where Hulk had the advantage, and Bischoff noted that Luger was not up to this level of competition.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great line, actually.
Because the WWF champion was merely a mid-carder when he was in WCW.
And it was true.
Which is a fair point.
It was a fact. So the ref said, no, you have not won yet. So Luger made a cover, and Hogan kicked out and did the big Hulk up. And he hit the big boot and the leg drop, and the Dungeon of Doom attacked for the DQ. And
nothing's changed.
No.
Nothing has changed. So they're beating up Hulk, and Savage and Sting are out to make the save. Meanwhile, Lex is lying on the ropes, and the Dungeon of Doom is leaving him alone. The babyfaces cleared the ring, but Hulk was still pissed at Luger. They go to break. They come back. All the babyfaces are still out there, and Gene Okerlund's interviewing them. God, Gene was awesome. Hulk demanded to know, ask Luger, why did the Dungeon leave you alone? Are you on their side? Savage said he also wanted to hear this. Sting stepped up to speak for Lex, said, look, we need someone to replace Vader, and this man, Lex Hogan, he just gave you a run for your money. We should add him to the team. Randy Savage was outraged at this idea.
I love that Randy Savage's character was a wild, crazy, paranoid guy.
Yes.
May as well have brought a gun to the ring while he was at it.
Sure. He said he would rather wrestle 3-on-4 than wrestle with someone he couldn't trust. He said the Dungeon had not attacked Jimmy Hart either, or Sting. Jimmy said, yeah, it's because I wasn't here. I left to go get Sting.
Valid argument.
Solid point for the man from Memphis.
Valid argument.
So Savage voted against Luger. Sting voted for him. It came down to Hulk for the deciding vote. Of course it did. And Hulk said he didn't know what to do, but he said it was time to test Luger and asked him to be in the team.
Well, Hogan's a champion, so he should get the deciding
vote. That is
vote.
also true.
These belts mattered back then.
That's true. And so Hulk asks Lex to be in the team. Sting turns to Lex and says, please accept this and don't embarrass me. Also a good point. So Luger accepts on the condition that he gets a title shot down the line. This pissed Savage off further because it proved Lex was only out for himself. They all shouted at each other for a bit. And then they plugged next week, Paul Orndorff versus Johnny B. Bad, plus the Nasty Boys, the American Males, and the Blue Bloods. Tag teams! Everything I love about wrestling.
Well, I did hear that next week has got a really, really funny moment. And I can only imagine if it surpasses the avalanche falling on Scott Norton's legs.
It won't.
Or just the very appearance of the Zodiac. Every time I see the Zodiac, I just laugh.
Yeah.
Like, whose idea was this?
He's supposed to be like Beetlejuice or...
No, he's the Zodiac.
I understand
He's
what
a
his
serial
name is.
killer.
No.
What?
Yeah, the Zodiac killer.
They couldn't find him?
What do you mean they couldn't find him?
Well, they never can find a serial killer. I mean, the Zodiac looked like that. They couldn't find him?
I don't know. I don't know why the fuck they called him the Zodiac.
Isn't that one of those boats that your wife runs out on? Look at whales?
The Zodiac?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
What's the point of all of this?
It was a stupid gimmick.
It was a very, very bad gimmick.
In fact, the whole Dungeon of Doom was pretty dumb.
Yes. That is a fact.
Yeah.
It was pretty terrible.
There was nothing good about it.
No. And by the way, second Nitro in a row where the Dungeon of Doom ran in the main event.
Well, they were setting up Fall Brawl.
Yeah, that was the following...
Which was the Hulkamaniacs versus the Dungeon of Doom.
So, go-home show.
In a War Games.
So after Fall Brawl, we'll never see these guys again.
Well, not much, actually.
Dude, you know what? Instead of watching... I guess we'd screw up if we didn't watch episode 3 because we're trying to stick to the thing. I'm kind of intrigued to see Fall Brawl now, actually.
According to... that's not a bad idea. According to Wikipedia...
Craig doesn't want to watch all that wrestling.
No, that's too much
We don't
wrestling.
have to do it all in 1 week. The Zodiac was a character wearing black and white face paint and only ever saying yes, no, yes, no. The Dungeon of Doom feuded with Hogan for most of the remainder of 95. Hogan eventually turned Zodiac against his stablemates by revealing him as a mole. He outsmarted the Dungeon of Doom. And then, of course, he went from there to being the Booty Man.
Whose finisher was the high knee.
The high knee, that's in here.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know who wrote this on Wikipedia, but you're a genius. His gimmick was that of a man infatuated with his own buttocks, shaking them on the way to the ring and during matches.
That's where Billy Gunn stole it.
Yeah.
Now there's a feud.
Okay, I got an idea.
How do we never get the Booty Man versus Mr. Ass?
I've got to watch this pay-per-view now. Let's do this.
Jeez.
It'll be fine, Craig.
Uh-huh.
We'll watch Fall Brawl for next Tuesday. And then the week after, we'll just watch 2 Nitros and get caught up. And then it'll be 1 Nitro after that.
I vote we watch half of Fall Brawl.
Half of
I'm
it.
with Vinny.
It's a 3-hour show.
But
Yeah.
you know what you're going to miss if